Alright. This is how the Ableton screen should look by default when you first open it up. It'll give you an audio track and a MIDI track by default, and I'm just gonna go over like the layout of the program just to get like a better idea for navigation. You should just go ahead and close this window unless you're looking to check out their personal tutorials, which are gonna be a whole lot better than mine, honestly, like way better. They're gonna be, yeah, because they know the program in and out. I don't. Anyways, I'm going to close that. There's those that are, yeah, if you want to check those out after watching this. Anyways, close that. Gives you a little more space over there. Let's see. These, like you'd normally see those folders. This is the live devices view. You can open, like minimize and maximize that if you want more space. You don't need to look at for anything else, you can close that. All your instruments there, MIDI effects there for playing chords if you don't know any chords, or scales if you don't know any. And there's the audio effects to make sounds fun. There's your plugin devices view. That'll have devices from like VST plugins, different plugins that you can download. Plugins are basically universal across all digital audio workstations, and in order to set the custom folder for those plugins, you go here, you hit on, you turn that on. I just turned mine off and it won't go back on. Yeah, anyways, you just go in there, you hit on, and it'll scan all the devices and put them into Ableton for you. There's those. It just turned back on. You can browse to the folder that way. You just find the folder, select it, and hit OK wherever it is. And that's that. That's how you get the plugin set up. And then these folders 1, 2, and 3 are directories that you can customize to wherever your loops or samples or like MIDI clips, anything like that, any files that are on your computer that aren't included with the program that you want to use for beats, melodies, rhythms, whatever, find those there. And I have like this one set up to some like loops, some other sounds and samples. I have this one set up for just lead and bass samples. And then I have this one set up for all the samples that I've recorded personally and other drum sets, just like all the drum sets that I have. Besides the ones that are in Ableton, those are extra. Those are all ones that I downloaded somewhere else. And let's see, like back in the live devices, that little credit card looking thing, that's basically like the instrument symbol. And you can drag each of these over to here. These are all MIDI compatible. All of them are MIDI compatible. Some of them work with samples to make the samples MIDI compatible, if you understand what I'm saying. This external instrument, not quite sure what it does, but it is there if you ever figure out what it does. I'm not sure what it does, so I'm going to delete that. The instrument, the instrument rack instrument is kind of like it's like a chain. You can add as many different effects, like MIDI effects, audio effects, instruments, and samples as you want. I mean, I haven't really used it. I don't know how it works that well, but that's that. You can also go in here, and there's all like the different presets for the instruments, and there's quite a bit. There's a lot. Here's the drum racks. I got rid of that instrument rack because I'm not going to use that right now. Impulse and drum rack. Impulse and drum rack are the two biggest ones for making beats. Like, I mean, that's just about like where all beats are made, like how they're made. Drum rack, when you drag this over, the main instrument, that's like a skeleton for you to create your own drum beats. And you can take these sounds out of like the different folders, like cymbal, hi-hat, kick, percussion, snare, tom, all these. You can drag all these different ones over here and drag them onto one of these. I don't have the operator instrument. Some of these you need the operator instrument for. If you have full Live 8 or Live 8 Suite, you'll have it. I don't, because I started with Live Lite. I just have the trial version for Ableton Live. And you've got all these kits that are all pre-made too. These are all different, just like I just said, they're all just kits that are pre-made. I mean, you can just drag them onto a MIDI track. You can make a new track. I'm going to put it over the drum rack. So I replaced the drum rack with that. It's got some pretty nice sounds to it. I don't know if you can hear that. It's going through a different speaker. You can do it that way. You could build your own. I downloaded some custom ones that I personally like to use. This Kex drum set is a really nice one, so I'm going to go ahead with that. And that would be equivalent to working with any of the pre-made sets that are in the kit folder. And Impulse, I'm going to go over this real quick just so I can get rid of the track. You can take these sounds. These aren't drum sounds, but you can take like drum, like actual like sound samples, and put them wherever on here. And then you can make your own little rhythms and drum beats with them and stuff like that. Get rid of that though. I'm going to go back to the live devices view, and I'm going to delete this track. That's basically what you can do. It's just like a drum set for actual audio samples, whereas the drum rack is the it's like a skeleton for using the actual like instruments, as opposed to the samples. If you get what I'm saying, it's kind of hard to explain. Simpler is something really nice that I like to use for making the wobbles. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to stop that. And keep in mind, I'm not really like doing anything productive at this point. All I did was drag the simpler instrument onto a track, and there's a few things under here. I never really experimented or messed with any of the stuff that's already in there, but I just use it for that. I just take the bare instrument, put it on there, put a track on there, or put a sample on there. It'll rename it to the sample's name, but I'm going to rename it to Simpler, back to Simpler, to make things simple. And I'm just going to rename this one to Beat, so you have an idea. You don't get lost here. I'm going to make a simple little pattern here. You can double click these names over here when you see this magnifying glass to kind of reduce those names, make some space. And you want to have this headphone on, just like over here when you're listening to these different samples. You want to have this headphone on right here, or you can't hear anything. That is if you want to sample it before you actually start putting things in. Most people do. Some of these don't work, obviously. That's a shame. Some of the parts don't work for this kit. They work for the other kits. I just don't think that there's sounds that they put on this kit for that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put each of these kicks on the quarter note, and I'm only going to make this pattern 1 measure long. So keep in mind that this pattern is only 1 measure long. If you want to make it 2 measures, just drag this over to like the 3. That's right before the 3rd measure. And when you like on this upper arrow, that's how you make it bigger. You just, it turns into a bracket, then you just drag it back across. I'm going to keep this 1 measure for now. Just keep things simple. It's just got a simple rhythm, the simplest rhythm probably, with kicks on the quarter notes and claps on the half notes. And let's see, I'm just gonna put like a sub low bass on the on beat of the measure, the first beat, just to accentuate each new measure. And you can kind of hear it right here. It's yeah, it's kind of hard to hear, honestly. Anyways, there's that. And when you're building things in live view, you can build. Same thing goes for the keyboard. You can minimize those. Those go all the way down to every C note, and you can kind of see the ones in between as I scroll up and down there. But you want to drag this when you magnify it left and right to bring that keyboard back. And I don't mind the keys so small. So I'm going to use this C right here, this C note. I'm just going to drag that for the full measure. And then I'm going to play that over the beat while I alter it in the options here. Every time you want to go to a track's options, you have to click the track name. You have to click the track name up here or up here. If you want to go back into like an individual MIDI clip, you gotta click the clip. And this is just like a clip bank. Like these little squares, that's what those are for, those rectangles. And I'm going to turn this input output button off right here.